when Barack was first elected. I don't know if many of you were old enough to remember. You remember? But back then, people had all kinds of questions about what kind of president Barack would be. Things like, does he understand us? Will he protect us? And then, of course, there were those who questioned and continue to question for the past 8 years, up through this very day, whether my husband was even born in this country. Well, during his time in office, I think Barack has answered those questions with the example he set by going high when they go low. And he's answered these questions with the progress that we've achieved together. Progress like bringing health care to 20 million people, creating 15 million private sector jobs, helping millions of young people like all of you afford college, expanding LGBT rights and marriage equality. So marriage equality is now the law of the land. And we just learned that last year, the typical household income rose by $2,800, which, by the way, is the largest one-year jump on record. And 3.5 million people were lifted out of poverty. That's the biggest one-year decrease in poverty in nearly 50 years. You hear me? All right. Well, let me tell you, I disagree. I am inspired. Because for 8 years, I have had the privilege to see what it takes to actually do this job. And here's what I absolutely know for sure. Listen to this. Right now, we have an opportunity to elect one of the most qualified people who has ever endeavored to become president. Hillary has been a lawyer, a law professor, First Lady of Arkansas, First Lady of the United States, a U.S. Senator, Secretary of State. Do you hear me? See, that's why I'm inspired by Hillary. I'm inspired by her persistence and her consistency, by her heart and her guts. And I'm inspired by her lifelong record of public service. No one in our lifetime has ever had as much experience and exposure to the presidency. Not Barack, not Bill, as he would say, nobody. And yes, she happens to be a woman. So, we cannot afford to squander this opportunity, particularly given the alternative. Because here's what we know, that being president isn't anything like reality TV. It's not about sending insulting tweets or making fiery speeches. It's about whether or not the candidate can handle the awesome responsibility of leading this country. So George Mason, Virginia, as you prepare to make this decision, I urge you, I beg of you to ignore the chatter and the noise and ask yourselves, which candidate really has the experience, the maturity, and the demeanor to handle the job I just described to you? Which candidates' words and actions speak to the future we want for our country and the values we share, values like inclusion and opportunity, service and sacrifice for others? Your answers to these questions on Election Day will determine who sits in the Oval Office after Barack Obama.